if they don't go, they will have someone go to the other man's training camp if he can, and observe. And how many of y'all saw Muhammad Ali, the greatest? Okay, the greatest. You remember when the man came in there and they asked him about George Foreman, and he said, if you cover, he will go to your head and knock you out. If you cover your head, he'll knock you out in the body. And somebody said, "Man, get this man out of here. He's been brainwashed." You know, he's supposed to be over there looking for a weakness, and he come back telling him about all of his strengths. You know, and so, but anyway, so they, you know, you got to know who to send, and it's just like with me. You notice I'm one of the only. Matter of fact, I'm probably the first religious teacher that have ever taught you what I'm teaching you, using movies and all that kind of stuff to share with you. You know, you don't find out about a person if you don't look at what they do. It's just like the arch deceiver been out here in front of us all his life, and we didn't know who he was. When he's right there on the TV, who he is. What is an actor? Do you know of any people who have as much talent in acting as white people? Man, I done sit up and watch movies and come to tears. I wouldn't let you see me, but I'm sitting up there looking and wiping. And I have to laugh at myself. I said, look at me sitting up here laughing. I mean, sometimes I'd be just rolling and over an act, laughing. You know, I mean, that's his ability. The scripture says the dragon gave power to the beast. The dragon is a myth, a lie. That's all that's all acting is. It's a man portraying a lie. So I don't say that out of hatred of them. I say that because it's the truth. You know, people was looking at me crazy today because I walked in the bank and hugged Mr. Moffitt. You know, white man. You know, I mean, I got nothing personal against Mr. Moffitt. Is a decent man. Don't care if he white. I mean, he ain't like a lot of them. They speak to you when you it's just you and them. When they get in front of the rest of the white folks, they act like they can't hear you. Mr. Moffitt, he can be in front of whoever, and he'll run up and hug me. There ain't no big thing, you know. I mean, I understand when people have a degree of realness about themselves, and I try to cultivate that. I don't walk around looking for the evil in people. You'd have a much happier life if you'd quit walking around looking for the evil in people. That's why you couldn't pay me to be no police. Well, I got to go around looking for people doing wrong. I don't want that job. At the same time, a real officer of the law, they didn't even call them police. They call them peace officers. You go in the Caucasian, go in Beverly Hills or someplace, you see some very civilized Caucasians. on the police force. Even if he send you away from there, he send you away with a grin on your face. He said, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, young man. Are you lost?" He said, "Well, I was just over here. Well, you can't just uh, uh, go around. You don't want to be accused of anything that you're not doing. And so you probably need to keep your, go back during the business where the business district is or whatnot, because if you don't have any business over in this community, unless you live here, do you live here? No, well, come on, I'll escort you. I'll escort you. Now he running you away, but he's doing it in a civilized way. Now, I have to talk to you like this because, it's a whole lot of folks listening to me that's looking for an excuse, And so, I'm if you're looking for an excuse to hate me, to justify what you're doing, the book says, "Seek and you shall find." Because I'm not here to dress up the truth to fit your ear. If you do that, that's called altering. When you go and get a suit and it don't fit, and they tell you you need to go get that altered. The word of God is not meant to be altered to suit the ear of the listener. The word of God, the truth, demands that we alter ourselves to fit in agreement with the truth. It's just like a ruler. If you want a straight line, the ruler ain't gonna line up with your line. Your line got to line up with the ruler. Do you understand? So I'm giving people that's always late a chance to get in there, and sharing some things with you that have been regular students. Some food for thought, as in the supper of the Lamb. Yeah, okay. Your silence tells me that you didn't find any fault in what I'm saying so far. Okay. Now, and if you really want to find wrong, don't look for wrong. Look for right. When you want me to tell you how to listen for the truth, and a lie will manifest itself. Of course, if you listen for a lie, you're gonna miss the truth. So now let's what's my proof of that? Every time you go in the dictionary, you're looking for one word and you missed a whole lot of other words because you was looking for that one. That's what I told you about sitting down. Like they teach you the wrong way to learn. They tell you should sit down and take notes in class. While you taking notes, the teacher's still talking. I told you should take your tape recorder to class. Then you listen as attentively as you can. And then you go back and listen to the recording that you made. And you will discover that even when you was giving the teacher your undivided attention, you missed some things. But, You notice they taught us everything wrong. They set us up. Not just, look, let me tell you something. The deceivers, they don't care. The wicked mind does not care who houses it any more than a virus or a germ cares what its host color or what its host look like. If the environment is a welcoming environment, the virus will find its way in there and make its home there. Same with a wicked and corrupt mind. Whatever you open to. You ever heard those saying? Well, whatever floats your boat. You heard that? You know, well, that's the same thing. Whatever strikes your fancy. Huh? Just you, I mean, whatever you are, whatever attracts your attention, whatever you are prone or enjoy, well, that's what you will allow to go into your brain. And that's what you will become. So the mind is only as strong as the thoughts that make it up, as the knowledge that it is built on, structured on. You and I were told to regurgitate. We were taught to regurgitate what those who were supposedly teaching us said to us. You know, and if you regurgitate right back to this is how you get in class. You tell the teacher back what the teacher told you. That's what the tests are. They ask you questions and you answer the question with the answer the way they gave it to you. You understand? That works fine for math, but that's not always best when it comes to, you know, they don't realize, even the one who teaches you to do that, they don't realize that they are cutting off their learning process by stopping your thinking process. Because sometimes out of the mouths of babes come pearls that you will tell the student sometime, you know, I had never looked at that the way you just said that. That's, give me something to think about. Huh? So, it is, but because we were taught to regurgitate things, it set us up for the television news and all that. Whatever we hear them say on the news, we start repeating. And we do it automatically. We do it on what you call out of habit. We've been doing that in school all our lives. The teacher said so and so and so and so and so. The teacher said it. And if the teacher said it, it's right. And the teacher said the book said such and so and such and so and so. And so whether we say the book said or the teacher said, then and that takes all the hard work out of it. You ask them, what you think? Well, what the teacher said. So he made himself like God. Which is what the devil said he was going to do. He said, I will ascend above the clouds. I will exalt my throne above the stars of heaven. And I will sit in the sides of the north, and I'll be like the Most High. In the Willie Lynch letter, this is what the white people did to the slave, to us. They made us trust them and fear them like we would normally trust and fear God. That's why when the average one of us go to say something about white people, he go to talking low, and automatically he talk low, especially if it's something bad. Open lightning don't strike him. Well, you know, Jesus is God and Jesus is white. God in the flesh. That's what we was taught. That's what some of us still being taught. But it's time to put an end to all the lies that we've been taught. That's my purpose. That's my reason for being born. To call you out of darkness into the marvelous light of the truth. The prince of darkness has had you deceived. The mind that's in you is the brainchild of lies. The prince of darkness ain't outside of you. The prince of darkness is what's ruling inside of you. And it's time now that all of you, that the prince of darkness be cast out. You see? You cannot cast out a lie with other than the truth. We take truth and hurl it against falsehood. So it knocks it out of your brain. And lo, you don't hear that no more. It vanished. So in the 10th chapter of the book of John, it says, verily, verily. Now, this was in front of you all the time. But the prince of darkness, because he had indoctrinated you so much that you, even though the scriptures were there telling you something contrary to what he was teaching you or telling you, pretty soon you were blind to what was right there in front of you. Just like darkness, it blinds you to what's right in front of you. All the color and everything that you saw all day long. Look outside now. You see any color? And if something do get some light shined on it, it gives you a false picture of the color of it. Right? But when a person tells you that I don't see no color, I don't tell that that's a person in the dark. They don't realize they bearing witness against themselves. Let me show you something that none of us have ever taken the time to ask. You see police officers shooting down unarmed young black men and any other type of black man. They just in Baltimore. It just the little sister was telling them her dad is a captain of the police. They called her the B word and told her to shut her 4-letter word starting with F, ing, mouth. White people patrolling black people, our communities. Why hasn't any of our religious people Congressman, I'm asking you this not to condemn you, but to awaken you. It's time that you ask the question. Since it is evident, not hidden, it's evident that white people hate us. Since it is evident that there's a racial problem, a race hatred problem in America, that nobody denies that. I didn't coin the phrase racial profiling. They coined that phrase, right? So they know it's there. Well, why is it then that the governors and the mayors and all of the people who are in state by state, let's just forget the Congress, the governor and the mayor and all of them could put a stop to all that stuff right now. This is what we're going to do since y'all can't stand each other. White officers patrol white communities. Black officers patrol black communities. Black and white officers team up together in those communities that have a mixture, and that will put an end to all of this unwarranted killing. Let each deal with his own people until we learn to get along better than we do. Huh? No, nobody want to talk about that, right? You know why? Because then the prison population would dwindle away. How many black men sitting up in jail and they ain't got no business in there? Because white officers lied on them. They lied on that woman after they tried to erase her cell phone footage. They lied and said she tried to run over the officer. After they had told that woman to pull over and the officer was standing there, she said she couldn't pull over because he's standing there, or she's standing there, or whoever it was. Just outright lied. How many times have they beat us down and said we assaulted them? Rodney King got charged with assault. Since you hate me, why do you want to patrol my community? So you can kill me? That's why you want to patrol my community. But you wouldn't dare let a black officer go through your community shooting your children down. I don't care what he say that they did and that they didn't have no gun and he pull out his gun and shoot him. You ain't never gonna justify that. You got to pay for all of this stuff. I'm letting you know now. You keep on doing it. It's your cup, and it's gonna be poured back to you. That's what feel to her double. You know how when you hear some people sitting up plotting, and just like that woman that was plotting to kill her husband and hired a undercover police officer to do the job, and she just a talking. I'm 5,000% sure I want him dead. He asked her, "You sure you want him dead?" 5,000% sure. That was. And in the end, he doubled crossed her. Allah said, the cup you have filled, the cup she have filled, fill to her double. It ain't even dawned on you. Where's all them people that was in here calling me all MMFs and stuff? They being paid. Not by me. By the one who said, whoever fall on me. And what it they even coined phrases that fit me. You mess with the wrong Marine this time. You know, it's only intelligent before you go and attack somebody. You better know who they are. Have you ever known God to lie? Have you ever known God to lie? Or say, I made a mistake, I had to take that back. Now, Moses, he made a mistake. But God didn't make no mistake. Huh? Likewise. You know, even if you some kind of way get past me, I'll see you. And he the one that got my back. You know what the word lamb also means? It means one who is easily tricked. It's easy to trick somebody that love you. I done spent not part, all of my adult life, I've been a practicing Muslim. From the time I was 22. And I was forced to practice it and when my mother was making me go to church. That wasn't nothing but Islam. They was calling it Christianity, but that ain't nothing but Islam. Love your neighbor. Don't be cussing and swearing at people and treat people like you want to be treated. I've been taught that all my life. I worked, put up businesses, took money from you, didn't start taking no money from you until I started building businesses for you. I got witnesses to that. I never asked you to help me take care of my family. I never did. I shared everything that my family had. I shared it with you. If I had it, you could get it. Then I get on some of y'all about now you know, I'm not gonna take your disrespect. I don't have some have nerve enough to tell me that go two ways. Two ways? You telling me that respect go two ways? When all I've done all my life was respected you enough to try to ignore all your foolishness and try to help you. Go and work and put up businesses and things. I didn't put my children in there to run them out. Gave you the key. Told you, go ahead. You know how to do it, handle it. And I got to be talked to like that back. You know I don't. You ever pull that again, you out of here. I ain't your slave. Slave master ain't never had to say thank you to a slave. He ain't never had to show no gratitude. No matter how hard the slave worked for him. That didn't mean nothing. How many of y'all saw the Tuskegee Airmen? Remember when they first arrived at the let me see here. You know, actually, I said Tuskegee Airmen. I didn't say Red Tails. Let's see here. Let's see. Here it is. Let me see if I can show you a little clip here. I just want to show you that I'm not making up stuff. I'm telling you the truth. And the white man tell you the truth, and he tell you the truth as if to say, I'm telling these people what I've done to them, and they ain't got sense enough to see it. Let's get here. Y'all give me a minute. Give me a minute.
Why did you join the Air Corps? Cadet. Sir. I don't like repeating myself, Cadet. Serve my country, sir. Your country. Boy, are you stupid? No, sir. You people. Now, don't you know how bad we treat you people? Serving your country. This ain't your country. Your country's full of apes and gorillas, malaria, missionaries.
Ain't no gorillas in Harlem.
Train and evaluate you men as potential combat pilots. They have been.
Why did you join the Air Corps? Cadet. Sir. I don't like repeating myself, Cadet. Serve my country, sir. Your country. Boy, are you stupid? No, sir. You people. Now, don't you know how bad we treat you people? Serving your country. This ain't your country. Your country's full of apes and gorillas.
You see, the white man ain't never understood us. Because to him, we stupid. And he even put it in the movie there. He said, why'd you join the Air Corps? To serve my country. Now, he said that, well, boy, nigga, is you stupid. Don't you know how bad we treat you people? In other words, if I was you and you was me, if our roles were reversed, it ain't no way, nigga, that I'd be talking about serving you. Now you understand out of whose character. You remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told you? He said, when the woman asked, when he asked the question, she asked the question, do you teach out of the Bible, or do you teach out of the Quran, or what? And he said, no, we believe in both of them. We made both of them. The white man didn't make no Bible. He said King James didn't make no Bible. And He said, we makes the Bible and we makes the Holy Quran. He knows he's our enemy and can't understand how we could show love to him. But our book said, love your enemy. He can't even understand how we could have brought him into being and then put him over us. We did that so that we could get me here. We taking you down now. And it ain't a thing you can do about it. But run. And all of you that side with him against me, you going down with him. As we promised. And whosoever of them will follow you, I will certainly fill hell with you all. Care how mad you get mad. I don't have to get mad. I have to remind myself that it ain't your fault. You know, water can be scalding hot and sitting there and ain't even no steam rising up off of it. But you better not touch it. So, I'm not the person who wants to see people punished for being what they was made. My teacher reminded me of that. As he said, now, you don't go and blame them for what by nature you put in them. Blame yourself for putting it in them. That's what he said. And I've also seen that they can do better. All they need, even Byron Della Beckwith's son, when he was asked a question about his daddy killing Medgar Evers, and he thought about it. He knew that a lot of people wasn't going to like his answer, but he didn't care. He thought about it. He said, I'd have to say, yes, he was wrong. But he respected Medgar Evers because Medgar Evers stood up for his people. That the white man could understand. They let you talk the Honorable Elijah Muhammad down. You don't hear them on no airwaves nowhere talking him down. They let you do that to show what a fool you are. But I'm not trying to fuss with you. I'm just trying to show you that I'm telling you the truth. And the white man bear me witness. He didn't mean to, but he bear me witness. He told you were stupid for serving him. All right? Okay. He wouldn't have done that to you. You're not in his frame of mind. Yeah, the messenger told us that a long time ago. He said if they had been treated by you like that, they would not even speak to you. Only with fire, iron, steel, they wouldn't speak to you. All they want to do is kill you for mistreating their people and still chasing their sons and daughters over the land to kill them. White folks, get your police out of our communities and put your black police in there. I done been stopped by black officers before. So I'm right there in Detroit. You know, I went back and forth with him a minute and he got a little huffy and got a little angry, but he didn't threaten to kill me. He didn't pull out his gun. You put black officers in our communities. If you say you don't have enough, train some more. And to show you they know it, because they even have a black policeman's union. What they need a black policeman's union for? I told you we're gonna have a race discussion in this country. That's one thing I thank this next person for, because she definitely brought it home. She might not have meant to, but she did. You know, in order to, let me show you something here. This brother here, this named Mike IP. He left on the last meeting when I was talking about Miss Janice Dickinson and that interview with Ronan. He said, just a little short sentence. He said, bruh, follow the story better. Follow the story better. That's your problem. This is what I told him. I told Brother Jamar to tell him, and I quote, that's the problem, brother. It's a 30-year-old story with no arrest records or factual evidence to back it up. It's just a story. But you so used to listening to stories like Hansel and Gretel, like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, let me see here. I'll show you a story. Let me see here.
RJ.
It'll be my weakness to that. I don't want to know anything about it. What do you mean you don't know anything about it? He wants us to kill, then eat, and he starves us again, then kill, then eat, then kill. What do you mean he wants us to kill? I killed 4. And you see, my wife was done the same. Kill 5. All right. Stay back. Stay back. Now,
That's not how it works. God damn it! Who do I have to kill to get a square deal around here?
please ring the bell. I'm dying.
This is a principle here to remind you that breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Ring the bell, dickhead! What if I refuse to fight?
Refuse? Fair enough. This one time only, I'm willing to allow a substitution. Think your woman will put up a better fight than you?
You mother... Don't.
Runyon, return this foul-mouthed coward.
There's your story. Since you like to follow stories. White women come up, 20 or 30 white women, 50 white women come up and say a black man raped them. But they never reported it. Then 30 years later, here they come. And what you want to see done to Dr. Cosby? And then say they didn't report it because they were scared. Let me see here. Man wrongly accused of killing Meredith Kircher by Amanda Knox challenges her to travel to Italy for verdict of latest retrial. Patrick Lumumba was held in custody for 2 weeks. Amanda Knox told police she covered her ears as he killed Meredith. He was dragged from his home in front of his children and wife by police. He said if Knox is innocent, she should come to court for the decision. Only released when a university professor provided him with an alibi. The Daily Mail, the barman wrongly accused by Amanda Knox of murdering a British student has urged her to come to court if she is as innocent as she claims, just hours ahead of a verdict in her appeal trial. Patrick Lumumba was held in custody for 2 weeks after Knox, 26, told police she had covered her ears as he killed Meredith Kircher in her bedroom of the house she shared with her fellow students. As a result of the false accusation, Lumumba was dragged from his home in front of his children and wife in a dawn raid by the police. And they found out it was false. But, you know, he black, she white. Let's see here. White Californian gunman owner shoots. This was in, this article is from January 29th, 2014. February 13th, 2014. Brent Thomas, it says, white California gunman, gun owner shoots himself, blames black man. He says, Brent Thomas, Posada, Posada, told police that a black man had shot him in the stomach during a scuffle, but they could not find any evidence to back up his claim, and he eventually admitted the truth. March 10, 2014. Officer arrested after allegedly making up story of being ambushed and stabbed. WSBTV.com. An officer claimed he was ambushed and stabbed, but police said it was all a lie. Magdalena police say they arrested a Clayton County police officer after his story did not add up. A Magdalena police major told Channel 2 investigative reporters Mark Wynn he's withholding comment on the motive for now, but the Clayton County officer has been released on bond on charges of false report of a crime, a misdemeanor, and false statements and writings, a felony. And it says things just weren't looking right. It looked like the burglary had been staged, said Major Kyle Helverson of the Magdalena Police Department. Who stabbed him? Wynn asked Helverson. Himself, Helverson said. Clayton County Police Chief Greg Porter said Clayton County Police Officer Christopher Russo has probably taken dozens of police reports in his career there, but he won't be taking any for the time being. How many black men sitting up in jail because a white officer filed a false police report and false charges? You remember the young man that was getting out of his car after the police told him to give him his ID, and he moved to get his ID, and when he came out the car, the police officer started shooting him, and the young man, while being shot, was asking, "Why are you shooting me?" Huh? Where's all them people that was calling me all them MFs? Where was they at when all this was happening? Silent, happy. Listen. Bonnie Sweeten, mother who faked kidnapping to go to Disney World. Black man did it. That's what she said. She said in Philadelphia, a Pennsylvania woman who faked her own kidnapping while actually going to Disney World was sentenced Thursday to more than 8 years in prison. 40-year-old Bonnie Sweeten is charged with swindling her employer and family members out of more than $600,000. CBS Philadelphia reports a tearful Sweeten today told the judge she was sorry. She apologized to all the victims from whom she stole a total of more than $1 million. At the sentencing in U.S. District Court, Sweeten was ordered to pay more than $1 million in restitution, in addition to spending 8 years and 4 months in prison. You know, it's a crying shame. June 22nd, 2012. Michael Darajati, racist NYPD cop, sentenced to nearly 5 years for false arrest and extortion. Huffington Post, New York. A disgraced former NYPD officer burst into tears in Brooklyn federal court on Friday as he was sentenced to nearly 5 years behind bars for an extortion scheme and for arresting a Staten Island man on fabricated charges in 2011. And the list goes on and on. The Scottsboro boys back in 1933, a white woman accused him of raping her. And now these white women back in 82 talking about they was scared of Bill Cosby. I'll tell you what it was. This is what it was right here. I'll read it to you. This is just a coincidence, maybe. It says Wilhelmina Model was paid to destroy Bill Cosby, comes forward. She says, I wasn't going to send this email to free your mind. I know I read it to you before, but I think it'll mean a little bit more to you now. You know, in order to justify having all of us sitting up in prison, they had to create an image of us of being a bunch of criminals. So file a bunch of false reports on the crime we're doing. Then once you get known as a bunch of criminals, then it's easy to just go on there and say he did it. They put him away. And the penal system gets a bunch of free labor and slavery right on. Huh? Then get him in there and even got officers that in the prisons, ain't nobody investigated. Congress ain't worried about it. You talking about what's happening at Gitmo. What's happening in all these prisons all around America? Men going in there getting turned into homosexuals. Because rape going on in there. Then you know what they was talking about doing to Dr. Cosby? How many more black men they done did it to? How many? Whatever he got on you, brother, tell him to go to hell. Tell it. But you through messing over our people and trying to blackmail us into being quiet. That monitor done went out. Anyway, it says, I wasn't going to send this email to FYM, but the feeding frenzy on Bill Cosby's character made my response necessary. It says, in 1982, 82. That's when they said it happened, right? In 1982, I had a photographer named Choice, and Choice was contacted by a casting agent. I was told to meet the client at the Ritz-Carlton for lunch in New York in the summer of 82. This client wanted to talk to me about a film. I arrived at the Ritz-Carlton at 11:30 a.m. Two male clients arrived, a Caucasian male, late 30s, and an Asian male, early 50s. They indicated that I'd be perfect for a film project. I was told that the project paid $5,000 cash. I thought that was strange, but for who pays $5,000 cash for a modeling job? The job was to meet Bill Cosby and to try to seduce him. It would be a part of the script. I was confused by this job request. They told me I would be recording the session to see if I was successful and believable. My response to them was, I would like to meet Mr. Cosby first and discuss the script. They said, no, it wasn't necessary to meet him. They said it was a spontaneous casting call. I have never in my life heard of a spontaneous casting call. As a legitimate model, this seemed strange and unethical. I immediately turned down the job. The Asian man, she didn't say I immediately flipped him the bird and turned down the job. She said I immediately turned down the job because it was unethical. Even the way that she was speaking lets you know that she's not an uneducated woman. And she's civilized in the way she words this, you know. She said, it seems strange and unethical, and I immediately turned down the job. The Asian man continued speaking and offered me $10,000 cash up front and $5,000 upon delivery of some seductive photos. Remember, seductive photos, right? Now let's go to the news. Let's see here. By the way, that's a wicked imagination, ain't it? Got people fighting for his pleasure and tell them they ain't gonna feed you unless you fight and kill each other. These 6 things that the Lord hate. Yeah, 7 are an abomination. You better go to Proverbs, the 6th chapter and the 16th verse and wake up. See here.
Long list of responses from Mr. Singer to an increasingly long list of women, now more than 20, coming forward with harrowing stories of abuse about Cosby, a man who was once among Hollywood's most powerful and most wholesome figures.
I seem to remember another man in history that, because a lot of people were saying that he was wrong, they crucified him. You know, if all them people saying he wrong, ain't that the cry that they try to convince us of? If all them people say he wrong, he must be wrong. Is that right? Majority rule is mob rule. Then the white man that was on there, the one that looked kind of like Kenny Rogers, let me tell you, that's a good example of majority rule, mob rule. And he said, this is a republic, a democratic republic, meaning that we don't make decisions based on what the mob want to do. It's a system of laws. Where is the evidence? You know, when they charge you, you can charge people with a whole lot of things. That is your right. But once you make the charges, you have the burden to produce the evidence that substantiates those charges, that proves that your charges were true. Oh, I'm a white woman. I'm a white man, and that's a nigga. Don't work like that, boss. Where is the evidence that they have brought? This man told me that I should follow the story. I've been following it. And here these people gonna tell me that this man raped all these women. And ain't nobody went to no doctor, ain't had nobody do no forensics or nothing, no DNA, no nothing. They even asked in their letter for some photos and some sperm. So they knew about getting sperm back then. She got the photos. But she obviously wasn't successful at seducing him. So listen, just listen, and let's look at it. You follow the story.
One high-profile story comes from the model Janice Dickinson. She claims Cosby flew her to Lake Tahoe with the promise of career opportunity, then drugged and raped her back in 1982. Martin Singer had a response to that too. He issued a statement to the media saying she made no claim of rape in a prior interview. And in her 2002 memoir, he says, quote, "There is documentary proof Janice Dickinson is fabricating and lying about Bill Cosby." Dickinson, for her part, is standing by.
Lying is outright saying things to deceive you. Fabricating is storytelling, making up something. And just listen.
Story. She said that she didn't include the full story in her book for fear of legal retaliation. I spoke with her after this latest volley from Cosby's lawyers. She was extremely frank, and we should warn you, some of the language she uses is graphic and detailed. I started asking her what she remembers about that night in Tahoe.
I remember him wearing a patchwork robe and being in my room. And I remember taking several Polaroids of him wearing this colorful patchwork robe and his gold watch and a brown velvet hat. And I remember the look and the smell of his breath. But I remember wearing this colorful patchwork.
Yeah, let's go back to that, what I was reading to you. Let's see if it adds up. Now, you see, she took a picture of him, huh? Polaroid, right? And it says, as a legitimate model, this seems strange and unethical. I immediately turned down the job. The Asian man continued and offered me $10,000 cash up front and $5,000 upon delivery of some seductive photos and some of his sperm. Sperm, I questioned. That to herself, sperm. And I was in shock when they said sperm. I then realized that these two men had unethical intentions. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, and then I left the hotel and went home. Now, as a model in New York, I've been offered drugs, trips around the world, and if she's been offered that, what is she telling you? So a whole lot of them offered that. Huh? Now, what did they say they wanted? $10,000 up front and $5,000 upon delivery of some seductive photos. This was in 1982 now. Now, when did she say this happened? 1982, right? Now let's listen. Look at this. Because she really going at it. Excuse me, I was
robe and his gold watch and a brown velvet hat. And I remember the look and the smell of his breath.
She remember all that detail, don't she? All right, let's go on.
But I remember the look in his face, like I was about to become dinner again. And I remember this.
Come around and didn't ask her, what you mean dinner again? What do you mean by that? Excuse me. Well, let's go on.
Smell of his breath, because he had been smoking a cigar. And I remember being absolutely horrified when I felt him get on top of me
and flew all that way and was absolutely horrified. Have you ever really been afraid? I have. Remember I told you I hollered till I was hoarse? And when my daddy asked me what was wrong with me when I did get home, when you get out of a horrifying situation, you want to tell whoever you think can do something about it. Huh? Scared to tell it? No, sir, not scared to tell it. Scared not to tell it. Gonna wait around and tell it 30 years later, huh? They know that there's no legal way they can do anything to him about that. So why are they doing this? What is their motive? They have no motive. They can't go to get their court. They want to defame his character so that when he goes around telling young black men to pull up your pants, young brother, and stop all that cussing and swearing and calling women the B word and all that kind of thing, they don't want him to have any moral authority to be able to talk to us like that. Do you understand? So they want to ostracize him now from you. They already, for the most part, put up a petition between the black people that have means and able to do something for us. You always hear about black people going someplace to Africa or doing something for them over there, but you never hear nothing really tangible that a lot of the black stars are doing here in America for black people here, because they've been either told don't, or outright told, or the message is clear. If you want to stay where you at, don't get involved with the poor black trash out there. Do you understand? Now here, this man, you ain't never seen Bill Cosby dress up in a dress, have you? You ain't never seen Bill Cosby on the screen cussing and swearing, huh? You ain't never seen him in an undignified role. Well, now they got to remake him now. They want to make him into a pervert. Want to make him into, by what? Just get a whole bunch of people out and just a bunch of white women and say that he raped them, drugged them, and raped them. Of course, ain't no evidence of that, but if enough of them saying it. When I asked Miss Ruley when she was in here, did he rape you? She said no. But yet she was still sitting up there on CNN telling me she was there to do what? In support of them? Support for what? Because the more people that get up, more white women, you're going to hear what the real scoop is right here. Just listen to her. She's going to tell you what it is.
Start to grunt, and I don't remember any conversation. And I remember feeling a lot of pain.
She don't remember any conversation while horrified. You don't remember any conversation while horrified that someone that has you just horrified, you didn't say nothing to him at all. You didn't say, please let me go, nothing. I mean, generally when people are afraid, they will say, well, please don't do this. Huh? She don't remember no conversation. None. I guess she don't, since it didn't happen. Huh? Let's go on.
Before I blacked downstairs in my vagina, and I felt it in my anus.
I'm sorry to make you.
I remember in the morning waking up.
You can't tell what Ronan trying to hold back a laugh You know, I mean, that don't look, I ain't gonna say nothing about that. I'll leave that alone. Look at his face.
They're coming up now because I'm sober. I am sober today. I wasn't sober then because I had really stuffed all this. You know, I went into denial. Like, that couldn't have happened to me. I must be a bad person. I must be a slut. But I know that I told people when I flew back to it.
Now she's using language that you find on them sites. I know, I've been there. You ain't gonna tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. You won't hear, you know, it's certain things certain places you don't go when you're really civilized as a woman, because you know better. You don't have to go into all of that. Huh? But this is for effect. Remember, there is no legal avenue for them to go after that man for something happened 30 years ago like that. Prescription and ran on all that stuff. So why are the news people supporting that? To ruin Bill Cosby's reputation. That's what it's about. To ruin that man's reputation in the eyes of his people. You heard how that interview, if you listened to that interview that I had with him, I told you how proud I felt of him when I was a teenager. That's the image that I had in my mind of Bill Cosby. I was like a little boy in front of a hero myself. You heard me say thank you to him. Because he was standing up representing us in a way that we had never seen before. So now they want to tear all that down and want us to help them. Well, I choose to help him. I ain't never been no person who go along with a crowd of bullies beating up on one man. You know that's true, because some of y'all have tried to jump in when I was going back and forth with somebody in here, and I tell you, be quiet. I don't need you to help me do this. This ain't no wolf pack. He called it what it is, this feeding frenzy. So let's see it. I'm talking about the lady that told the truth about them offering her money to seduce Bill Cosby. Since when do you have to seduce a rapist? You ever seen a rapist that you had to seduce? I should say, ever heard of one? To show you, if they wanted them to seduce him, they was trying to set him up to do what? To say he raped somebody so they could take all his money and his reputation. Just listen.
Bali, I told my friend Lionel George, and I told the people that I was working with, the Indonesian man Jody that had hired me for the calendar that I was working for. I just remember the fear. I remember the fear, and like if this gets out, will people think I'm a whore? Will the people think I'm a slut? Will the people think that like I'm lying? like they do now.
What one new thing that you've just said right now is you said the pill I had asked for. In the past, you've said that you had cramps and that he offered you a pill for the cramps. Did you ask for the pill specifically?
I remember, taking the pill. Mm-hmm. I remember saying I had menstrual cramps. I'm so nervous, I remember having I had cramps without the bleeding. And he said, I'm not really clear. He offered me a pill. He said this, whatever it was. I don't remember the color of the pill.
Do you think, looking back at it all, that he did this all with the design from the get-go of raping you?
100% in my mind, yes.
Remember that. 100% in her mind, yes. Huh? All right. Do you think he did this with 100, with from the beginning, from the get-go, rape you? 100% in my mind. Huh? All right. That's it.
Yes.
And Janice, what's your message to people in Hollywood still working with Bill Cosby?
Are there people still working with Bill Cosby? I don't know. But if anyone...
Now, the plot thickens. What the people working with him got to do with that? What is the relevance of that question? It goes to the motive behind it. Let's finish him in Hollywood. Huh? Finish his career. Cut him off. Huh? Huh? Well, now she's the spokesperson for what the people in Hollywood ought to do. Huh?
Wants to hire this guy? You're making a big mistake. Bill Cosby should not work anymore. He shouldn't be in front of an audience, and Bill Cosby should not have any advertisers attached to it, because it is now evident through all these women that have stepped forward.
When did it become evident? And what did she say? It's evident through all of these women that have come forward. Didn't even say it should be. She's gonna tell you what it is. It's evident through all these women that have come forward. Now listen to the next thing that come out of her mouth. Not that they got raped, but that she got raped. She got messed up. Listen to her. The statement don't even make no sense. Just listen. There ain't none of them people was no witness to what happened to her. Huh? It's just her coming out there saying that, just like the rest of them. Ain't it strange? All of them ain't had no witness. They said them and him was somewhere, and they, huh? But if this lady hadn't came out and said that she had been offered money to take photos and seduce him so that she could get some of his sperm, then you understand how all of them wanted to get along with him some. Huh? All right. Well, obviously, didn't none of them succeed. How about it? This was 82. And didn't nothing happen in 82, did it? Okay, let's see here.
That it's evident that I got raped.
Well, on the legal front, the LA...
A big mistake. Bill Cosby should not work anymore. He shouldn't be in front of an audience, and Bill Cosby should not have any advertisers attached to it, because it is now evident through all these women that have stepped forward that it's evident that I got raped.
Well, on the legal front, the LA police chief just came out and told reporters they're willing and prepared, that's an exact quote, to investigate this, even regardless of the statute of limitations. Is that what you want to see, a reopened investigation?
I want the police to do the right thing. I want anyone that will hire him to do the right thing. And I want his attorney, who wasn't present and didn't have sexual relations with Bill and with all the other women, including the women that are underage, and all these vampires that are coming, trying to make money out of lawsuits. I want you all just to think it didn't happen to you. You can't call me a liar.
You mentioned vampires trying to make money off of lawsuits and the response from the legal Cosby team. His team actually just filed legal documents which say that Judy Huth, she's one of these women, she claims that Cosby raped her in the Playboy Mansion when she was 15 years old, that her lawyer approached Cosby's attorney and made, quote, ominous references to
I mean, I'm surprised they ain't headed over to the Playboy Mansion to check some IDs over there. Huh? So, as far as I know, I mean, that's a club. Oh, I'm surprised that they ain't headed over to the Playboy Mansion to check some IDs and maybe see Mr. Hefner. Huh? What in the world 15-year-olds, let's forget about Mr. Cosby for a minute. What a 15-year-old girl doing in the Playboy Mansion? Was it his daughter or what? What was that? They visited? Oh. What about all them people that was talking about, let me see. What that boy's, some guy, 827, sent the DHS out here about me spanking my baby. Won't you send the DHS over there to the Playboy Mansion and see what they doing over there? That zip right by him, huh? Let's see here. Let's see what else she got to say.
Penalties, demanded $100,000 for silence. But
this is valid. She only wants $100,000 to cease it.
Listen to her now. She just got through talking about the vampires. And then she said, what, she only wants $100,000? Well, how much do you owe? Huh? Just we about to know how much you're gonna get, but I mean, get what? Based on what? Just find you some wealthy black man and accuse him of rape. They accused Michael Jackson of something that they ain't had no proof of. Huh? Black men getting let out of prison after being in there for 20 years and something for something he didn't do. Because they found out that some crook up there with credentials made up and sent him there. Made up some evidence. Y'all got to answer for all this stuff. Because you working in a day when you were told to stop. Let's listen to him.
That taint the credibility of these broader claims from all of the women coming forward?
No, I don't want to answer that because I'm not an expert at the law. When I speak to an attorney, he will be pretty credible. And Marty Singer, you will wake up and you will hear me. And you know what? I am not a liar. And I can't speak for the other women. I can only speak for myself. I am very
Singer
upset.
specifically said of you that your claims were outlandish, that they were false. Those are words he used. What's your response to Marty Singer, again, Cosby's lawyer? I think that speaks volumes.
I want Marty Singer. What if someone raped your wife, Marty? You've got daughters, Marty. What if Bill Cosby came and drugged their innocence, Marty? How'd you like me now, Marty? That's what I say. And I say to you, Bill Cosby, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You're one sick puppy. You're a dog.
What's your message to any of these women coming forward against this very powerful legal team and this very powerful man in Hollywood?
Women, you have more power than him and his legal team. Women, you have more power than you'll ever know because we are the stronger race. Because we are the stronger race. Women, you have more power than you'll ever know because we are the stronger race.
Allah just made her tell the truth. No, I ain't muted. I didn't mute that. I haven't muted this line. She said, we are the stronger race, huh? When a white woman say a black man raped her, yeah, you just better get ready. You going to jail, boy. Well, that's how it had been. How many of us became, as they said, strange fruit on some oak tree or somewhere, hanging up there because white woman got caught messing with one of us, or she didn't like us, or turned her down because he wouldn't go with her, and she said he raped her. Didn't need no forensics. Didn't need no evidence. They don't need no evidence now if you listen to them. Huh? They ain't got no evidence, just their mouth. Let me show you something else here. You know, you can't say that everybody is if a woman just because a woman may say somebody raped her, that it wasn't true now. You understand? But in things that you have to remember, and that is that, there's, there's a proper way to go about that. You on the one hand, you want to be accepted as equals. And don't you hear women wanting to be treated as equals? Right? If you do a man's job, you want a man's pay, right? Don't pay you less and that's only right. Well, why should you be held to a different standard if you accuse somebody of something? Don't you need something more than just your mouth? Well, I'm gonna let you hear this and see this. This was something that may interest you, and to show you that it's not something that is similar to this. But this one is a girl and her daddy. So just listen and look.
Language and adult subject matter, viewer discretion advised. Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, she claims she was molested by her father.
Absolutely not.
He would never do anything to you.
Do you think it happened?
No. I'm telling you what our father did. He called me liar.
Who's telling the truth?
That night, you're drunk, you're high on drugs.
I felt violated waking up and seeing my father there.
Didn't you say it was still dark in the room?
There was light from the street lamp.
You can't change your story every time I ask you a question. It was either dark or it was light. Let's do it. This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4. I am not giving up on you. Go, Dr. Phil.
Well, it's a mother's worst nightmare. Teen daughter, daddy's little girl, tells you with tears in her eyes, Mom, Dad raped me. Shocking, yes, but it's a reality for Tina, who says that ugly accusation left her with a huge decision. Who does she believe? The man she's been married to for nearly 30 years, or her youngest daughter? Now, before I tell you whose side she took, I want you to listen to what her daughter Megan describes as a night that changed her life forever, and why she now says she gets physically sick at the sight of her own father.
I believe that when I was 18, my father did rape me. Before I came home that night, I was with my brother and his girlfriend at the time. We were getting completely wasted. And then when I came home, I went straight to my room, took all my clothes off, no underwear, no bra, and I jumped into bed and passed.
Now, did you hear what she said? She said she believed that her father raped her. What all these other women that didn't all of them say they believe Bill Cosby raped them? Huh? Even when I finished with Miss Ruley, she said he didn't rape her, but I believe he raped it. I believe he did something to that other lady that was there that she couldn't name, right? She believed. Well, here's a daughter believes her daddy did that to her. Right? Okay.
Passed out. I had a dream that somebody was having sex with me, and it felt very real. It was a black figure in my dream. I didn't see a face. It was on the street. When the man that was having sex with me finished, that's when I woke up and saw my father standing there. The covers were off of me when I woke up. I pulled my covers on me, started screaming, "Why are you in my room? Get out, get out." And he was telling me, "I'm looking for my cell phone, I'm looking for my cell phone," as I see him gathering himself, basically. I was so intoxicated that I immediately fell back to sleep. When I woke up the next morning, I was in tons of pain from drinking, the drugs. I didn't remember.
All of them said they was intoxicated, didn't they? Said he had drugged them, huh? Okay.
Anything that night. I was, stumbling to the bathroom trying to find my way, and I was sitting there going to the bathroom, and I felt pain. Things slowly started coming back to me, and when I heard my father coming into the house, I started closing the door, and as I'm closing the bathroom door, we caught eye contact, and I saw his face, and he had this crazy grin on his face, like, "Ha, I got you." I saw nothing but pure darkness in his eyes. That's when I realized that it happened. Everything came back, everything. I am 100% sure that my dad raped me that night.
Well, as you can see, Megan says she is positive her father did this to her.
Now, this girl said she was 100% sure her daddy did that to her. What did Ms. Dickinson say? 100% sure, huh? All right. Now, let's go on.
But who did her mom believe? Megan says that after a year, this didn't happen right away, she finally had the courage to speak up. Her mother and older sister immediately called her a liar.
I waited a year to tell my family what happened. The first person I told was my older sister. She called me a liar.
Our Father that raised us.
She says she waited a year to tell them what happened, right? Okay. Yeah.
Never laid an ill hand on us except to discipline us. I know that he is not a rapist and he's not interested in having sex with, his daughter. But he's still a man. The men still have intentions, bad intentions. Not against their daughter. She told my parents, and I got a lot of angry phone calls, text messages. How could you say this? You're on drugs. You're lying. They ganged up on me. You woke up and Dad was on top of you. I mean, that's a horrible thing to say. I'm looking for facts, and I don't see any. What facts is there going to be? They made me feel like a bad guy, like I did something wrong. When we confronted my dad about it, he made a joke, actually, about it. He said it was because I hung out with the wrong crowd, so somebody must have broke into our home and hurt me. He called.
Now, this was a 45, 50-minute thing here, and I'm not going to put you through the whole 369 of it. But, you need to start you need to realize that just because somebody come to you and tell you something, that don't mean that it's always true. Now, listen to, I'm going to cut to the end here and let you see something.
Engaged. You felt that your father was harsh in terms of get a job, don't bug me, certainly not someone you consider to be nurturant.
Yeah.
You felt like they had a different relationship with you than they did with others in the family.
Yeah.
I have seen people that have that perception, true or false, that say, you don't give me your attention, by God, I'll get your attention. Hear me out.
I know.
I'm not saying this is you. I'm not saying this is you. I just want you to hear what I'm saying.
I'm listening.
And then I hear you say, I go out, I bash my head to the point it knocks me down. I'm drinking to excess. You say beer, shots, everything, doing lines of cocaine in the bathroom to the point that you passed out, which means your cognitive functioning became highly impaired. You were unable to maintain consciousness. Isn't it possible that you're just wrong?
I thought about it. I mean, it was definitely a thought in my head that I could be wrong and that, I could have just been dreaming and I perceived the situation wrong. But the fact that I was naked and my covers were off my body and the fact that I woke up to him standing there.
Didn't you say it was still dark in the room?
There was lighting from the outside coming from the street lamp.
Okay, now you can't change your story every time I ask you a question.
I'm not changing my story. This was on
It was
tape.
either dark or it was light.
It was dark outside and there was light from the street lamp coming in.
You're drunk, you're high on drugs, you're still passed out.
I can't consider it because the way he was standing.
Can you tell me that you are certain that he raped you?
I don't even know. I can't. I want to believe that, yes, it happened because of my dreams and everything that I felt and stuff, but I did not wake up to the act of it. But yes, that's what I feel.
Do you want to withdraw this allegation or do you want me to open this polygraph?
I want you to open it. Because something needs to happen. Like I don't know what it is, but this vision that I have is just horrible. I think she needs to know that my dad didn't do that. Yeah, I need to know that my dad did not do that to me, because that's what I want to believe. I want to believe that he didn't do that. That's what my heart wants to feel, but I can't feel that way because I don't know what happened. All I know is what I felt and what I saw. That's it. Like, everything else is a blur.
This is Jack from Arco right here. Jack, you conducted both of these polygraph tests.
Now remember, you ain't seen no tears come out of her eyes yet. It don't work if you ain't if you putting on the crying face but ain't no tears. Do you understand? Okay. Now you got the man who did a polygraph for him. Let's see here.
But I did not wake up to the act of it. But yes, that's what I feel.
Do you want to withdraw this allegation, or do you want me to open this polygraph?
I want you to open it. Because something needs to happen. Like, I don't know what it is, but this vision that I have is just horrible. I think she needs to know that my dad didn't do that. Yeah, I need to know that my dad did not do that to me, because that's what I want to believe. I want to believe that he didn't do that. That's what my heart wants to feel, but I can't feel that way because I don't know what happened. All I know is what I felt and what I saw. That's it. Like, everything else is a blur.
This is Jack from Arco right here. Jack, you conducted both of these polygraph tests.
I did, Doctor.
Were they good tests?
They were both good tests. Both took about 2 hours. Both Megan and Robert were, I would say, on the high side of nervous, but we worked through that.
I do not want to open this envelope because I do not think it will advance the healing in this family, but they want it open. I'll open it after the break. We're back. There is a serious allegation from this daughter that this father raped her. They have taken a polygraph, and I was in hopes of not having to open this. When asked, did your father ever have sexual contact with you, you said?
Yes.
Did your father ever have sexual contact with you in your room? You said.
Yes.
The results are that that was deceptive.
And that's fine.
We then spoke to Robert on the test. The questions were, did you ever have sexual contact with Megan? Your answer was?
No.
When she was a teen, did you ever have sexual contact with Megan?
No.
The results of the test are that it was non-deceptive.
Now, all that time she was getting high and all that stuff, and in her mind, she had told herself that her dad had raped her. We saw in that letter from one of those mouths that said people had approached her and tried to get her to seduce Dr. Cosby and do what? Get some sperm from him, huh? Get some pictures, huh? You saw her, she had took 3 pictures, she said. Why? Why did she take 1 picture? And his brother tell me, bruh, follow the story. I follow the truth where it leads. Huh? We ain't finna try to demoralize people. But look what they're trying to do to Dr. Cosby. What is that about? And all the fathers out there, you just remember, if our daughters can't be safe around us, who can they be safe around, man? Got to have some self-control, man. Black, white, it don't make no difference who you are. This world is gone crazy. And the only way to not go crazy with it is to come out of it. But accusing that man of something that happened, especially in a year where somebody that is comparable to these models that's claiming all of this stuff, a model come forth and tell you that somebody approached her to try to get her to seduce Dr. Bill Cosby, and she turned them down. Do you suppose they stopped after she turned them down? Now, any of you that think I'm misrepresenting something, show it to me. You know, you never should tell, you know, in any court case, for instance, if one side presents evidence or calls someone to witness, before that person can step down from the stand, the other side gets to question that same witness. Huh? It still does not make sense to me that white women, all these white women that had been supposedly drugged and raped by the same black man, when these people was looking for somebody to bring them some evidence, why didn't they get them? Huh? I mean, they was in the people that approached her was in the same circle as these models. Right? They couldn't get what they were sent in there after. And so there were never no arrests on Dr. Cosby and no charges brought against him because the plot to set him up fell through. Huh? So I'm telling you, and you should tell these people, leave that man alone. One lady said to me, what was that? You got that printout where the lady asked me, has Bill Cosby joined the new Nation of Islam? Because Muslims don't help, what did she say? Muslims don't help nobody but Muslims? Is that what she said? If Muslims don't help anyone but Muslims, how did you get black and proud? The only ones that was calling themselves black back in the 60s, the 50s, and the early 60s was Muslims. Everybody else was going by Negro. It was the Muslims who convinced you and showed you that you are not Negroes. That was us did that. It's the Muslims who, when you went any place where we protected you as long as you was among us. You know, people, you know, when I was asked that, I told her that, you know, that, you know, you seem to be hiding some secret hatred there. There ain't no such thing as me caring only for people that is black skinned, that's a Muslim. If that was the case, I never would have became a Muslim, because when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad met me, I wasn't a Muslim. I wasn't practicing it. Everybody that's in here, we don't just say we care about our people. My actions and my deeds tell you I care about my people. Bill Cosby is one of my people. Yeah, I speak up for him. If I believe that what is being done to him is wrong, I should speak up, since I'm in a position to speak up. If you ain't in no position to do so, then you can't. But if you're in a position to speak up, my question to you is, why haven't you spoken up? I'm in a position to speak out against the racism that's being practiced against President Obama. I was listening to the interview with Tavis Smiley by Don, what's that, Lemon? And it was strange, to say the least. I'll let you see what I'm talking about.
Tavis Smiley has been watching the protests intensify all across this country over police shootings of African American men. He is the host, of course, of Tavis Smiley on PBS and the author of Death of a King, the real story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s final year. I watch you all the time, Tavis. I've been wanting to get your perspective on this. President Obama gave an interview to BET today. Here's what he had to say about the protests.
Then attention spans move on, right? There's the next thing. There's some international crisis. There's something that happens here. And change doesn't really occur. And the value of peaceful protests, activism, organizing, it reminds the society this is not yet done.
What's your reaction to the protests we're seeing across the country to Eric Garner, Darren Wilson decision, what the president just said?
First of all, I agree with much what the president had to say. There were 2 or 3 things that sort of galled me today, quite frankly. Number one, when the president goes on to suggest in that conversation that change takes time, that we have to be patient. Dr. King once said that change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability. You have to be deliberate about these things. And so for the president to
You see, I'm going to let him finish that.
suggest to black folks this is going to take time, we have to be patient, that things are...
Darren Wilson, this is what the president just said.
First of all, I agree with much what the president had to say. There were 2 or 3 things that sort of galled me today, quite frankly. Number one, when the president goes on to suggest in that conversation that change takes time, that we have to be patient. Dr. King once said that change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability. You have to be deliberate about these things. And so for the president to suggest to black folks this is going to take time, we have to be patient, that things don't happen overnight, I get the point he was trying to make. And yet the truth is, if he had been patient in 2008, he wouldn't be the president tonight. So that message of being patient as opposed to doing exactly what folks are doing right now, I think rings hollow, number one. Number two.
Well, actually, Tavis, I don't think is understanding what he's really saying there. Dr. King did not teach that things happen overnight. He did say, yes, you need to be deliberate about it. Do you know what deliberate means? When a jury is deliberating, they are taking their time and steadily analyzing and moving forward through evidence. Right? What did the president say about things that come and go? And listen to what the president said. That's why I know that's why it was probably hard for Mr. Lemon to understand what Tavis was saying, because the president had said what he just said about these demonstrations and everything, not just blowing over, It's showing you that that's what's going to bring about the change, is that it's not something that's just blowing over. Listen.
King Jr.'s final year. I watch you all the status. The protests intensify all across this country over police shootings of African American men. He is the host, of course, of Tavis Smiley on PBS and the author of Death of a King, the real story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s final year. I watch you all the time, Tavis. I've been wanting to get your perspective on this. President Obama gave an interview to BET today. Here's what he had to say about the protests.
Then attention spans move on, right? There's the next thing. There's some international crisis. There's something that happens here. And change doesn't really occur. And the value of peaceful protests, activism, organizing, it reminds the society this is not yet done.
What's your reaction, Tavis?
You see? You know, there's only one way that you can. I remember Prophet Muhammad said this. I was taught that he said this. If a Muslim or a righteous person sees an injustice, he should do one of three things, or better, all three, but at least one of three things. He should hate it in his heart, speak out against it, and work to change it with his hands. Huh? Well, the people are speaking out against it, of something that they hate in their heart, and willing to lay down and get in front of traffic and stop cars and all that kind of stuff to change it. Huh? He didn't say pick up a gun and go shoot people. You don't change a person's mind. You don't change an injustice by killing the unjust person. Because the unjust person is just the symptom of the unjust mind. And until you change the unjust mind, you're going to always have unjust persons. In other words, you don't get rid of oranges by gathering up every harvest time, gathering up all the oranges and throwing them away. They're going to be back next year. And they're going to keep on coming back until you root up the tree that produces them. Huh? You see? But, you know, I've never heard, even when Michael Moore was speaking up for President Obama, I was surprised at Mr. Smiley that he never really had anything good to say about President Obama since he's been president. Have you heard him say anything ever good about the president? And all of these people that's coming out now, as though President Obama, all this stuff is something that he can immediately do something about. I'm gonna let you hear it, and then I'll give let me quit cutting them off.
That's what we're seeing across the country to Eric Garner and to Terry Wilson. This is what the president just said.
First of all, I appreciate and agree with much of what the president had to say. There were two or three things that sort of galled me today, quite frankly. Number one, when the president goes on to suggest in that conversation that change takes time, that we have to be patient. Dr. King once said that change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability. You have to be deliberate about these things. And so for the president to suggest to black folks, this is going to take time, we have to be patient, that things don't happen overnight. I get the point he was trying to make, and yet the truth is, if he had been patient in 2008, he wouldn't be the president tonight. So that message of being patient as opposed to doing exactly what folk are doing right now, I think rings hollow, number one. Number two, the president goes on BT to, once again, to some extent, lecture black folk, but goes on Colbert to do the jokey joke thing. And I quite frankly don't fancy that. In the Oval Office, the president has a bust of Dr. King. I'm glad it's there. But at the same time, Dr. King once wrote a book called Why We Can't Wait. And I would recommend to the president and all the rest of us that we read that book of what King was saying to us 50 years ago about why we can't wait. And there's in time, as you know, there are two dimensions to time. There's chronos, the passage of time, and then there's kairos, an appropriate, right, critical moment in time. This is a kairos moment for this president and for all of us, quite frankly, and we can't miss this, Don. We got to step into this.
Tavis, I want to ask you this because, you know, the children of Eric Garner are on tonight, and they were smiling and having. Are you saying the president can't be multidimensional because you mentioned Stephen Colbert and then you mentioned, you know, going on BET? He can't be multidimensional at dealing with this situation?
No, what I'm saying is I'd like to know when this BET interview was scheduled. Most folk were unaware of it. It sort of came out of nowhere. It wasn't mentioned in the listings. I don't know what the motivation was for doing that. What I'm suggesting is that the president, you know, can't have.
I have to stop it there. Since when does the president have to check with any of you before he comes a place? You don't know what motivates it? All this stuff that's been happening? But just a moment, I'm gonna let him finish. Then I will do my commentary.
One message for us to be calm, to be patient, that things happen over time. And then, you know,
what would you have him do, Tavis? Because you tweeted, you said blatant disrespect for Black life on Obama's watch. What will it take for him to step into this moment? Hashtag Eric Garner. What would you have the president do?
When the president was running for president, when Senator Obama was running for president, and race became a critical issue in whether or not he was actually going to get the nomination, much less get the White House, he took the time to give the most important major public policy address of his entire campaign at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. And now what you're telling me is the best we can do is an interview here or there. I just don't buy it, Don.
He's also doing things. He's starting a commission. He's been meeting with leaders from all over the country. Okay, I take you at what you just said, but I think it's the president's between a rock and a hard place when it comes to this particular issue.
Let me be clear. This happened, that is to say, racism being the most intractable issue in this country was the case before he ever became president. I understand that there's value in the symbolism of his being president. I'm just saying, as I've said so many times, that great presidents aren't born, they're made. They have to be pushed into their greatness. And it may very well be, back to that Kairos moment, that this is the reason, in part, why at this critical juncture, this man happens to be the president of the United States. I'm just saying, step into your moment and provide the kind of moral leadership, not a one-off here or there on BET or Colbert, but step into your moment and provide the kind of conversation, the kind of leadership, the kind of focus on a social justice agenda that would make sure, as Dr. King said 50 years ago, that we aren't still dealing with what he called the triple threat of racism, poverty, and military.
It sounds to be listening. All right, you and I know each other. Let's be honest. It sounds that you're being extremely hard on the president because
come on, Don, don't start that nonsense.
No, it's not. Listen, no. This is not. It's not an easy. It's not nonsense. I'm just being honest with you. As I sit here, we spent maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and you haven't said hardly anything positive about what the president is doing. Maybe he didn't do it properly in the past. Maybe he is stepping into his moment. I hear you saying that, but it sounds like a whole lot of complaining about the president of the United States.
Don,
you don't sit in that.
Don Lemon is right on what he's saying. I mean, and I'm not just saying that because I like President Obama. I'm saying that because, I mean, what would you have the president of the United States to do? Become an activist? That man is the president of the whole United States, not just over Black people. He's the president over the Ku Klux Klan. He's the president of all of these other people, whether they like it or not. Do you honestly think he's supposed to stop being president and become Martin Luther King? His job is not to cry about problems. His job is to offer solutions. He even invited, I mean, how many times have you seen any president invite so many of the black leaders to the White House to hear what you have to say to try to get something done? Instead of throwing stones at him, he should have been at some of them meetings, shouldn't he? You know, brother, this is what I say to all of you. What is your record on the black community? You who got stones you like to throw at me, you throw stones at President Obama, you throw. Okay. What are you doing? I've been out here on the air inviting people to come in and talk in this forum to me. If you disagree with me, haven't I invited you to come in and show it and say why? All of these people that come out right now, I wonder how many of you all have their numbers that you can call them up. You got mine. You know, it's one thing to say you care. It's one thing to say you love your people. It's another thing to have actions that go along with what you say. Uh-huh. I don't like making it appear that I have some animosity towards any of our people, and Tavis and nobody else. I mean, he got right to his opinion about whoever he wanted to share it about. But remember, while you exercise your right, other people have the same right to disagree with you. And once we recognize each other's right to disagree, that lays the foundation for dialogue, constructive dialogue. Once you recognize a person's right to disagree, then that opens up it paves the way for a back and forth, point for point reckoning or reasoning about the position that each has taken and why. And when you can explain why you take a position, and if you are a reasonable person, if another person shows you that the stance that you or position you have taken is unjust or not right, then you should be able and willing to adopt a different position based on the facts and evidence that is presented. Do you understand? So I'm not trying to get you to go blindly along with what I say. But when you just want to, I mean, it's things that many of you, our people, you act like President Obama is a king or something. He's not no king. He can't make laws. The Congress is the lawmaking body of this country. And whatever the laws are, the president's job is to uphold and enforce. you know, to uphold the Constitution. Do you understand? He didn't take an oath to be an activist. He took an oath to be the president of the United States. And when you expect him to be more than that, you are asking him to not discharge the duties that he has. He can't. He don't just have the duty of looking out for just our interests. It is when you become the, for instance, the CEO of a company. You can't just concern yourself with one department in that company. You have to concern yourself with all of the departments in that company and what's best for the whole company. You understand? Well, likewise, you can't please everybody, but you can do your best to do what is right and in the best interests of the whole. You understand? So, I don't, they got a little heated discussion there about their disagreement after a while there because, Tavis on the one hand want to express his views and then didn't want to hear no opposing view. I told you, you can't on the one hand say you don't like bigotry and be borderlining on being a bigot yourself. You can't do that. You can't do that. If your position is just and right, you don't have to fear someone offering you something that may be in opposition, because if your position is just and right, you can deal with what they say point for point. Right? Okay. So I hope brother is listening. And, I just want you to stop judging this president by a different yardstick than you did the other presidents. You got to hold everybody to the same yardstick. You understand? Because he's black, now you're going to judge him differently? Somehow, what? What is he supposed to be able to do that others didn't have the same duty to do and didn't do as much as him?
See, you don't even know the pressures that you're dealing with. You can say whatever you want to me. That's why I asked you the question. Answer honestly.
And I will say it. I'll always be honest with you, my friend. Yeah. As always, that's an easy way for you to score some points. That was a layup. Hooray for Don. You got a couple points for playing to a particular audience.
That's insulting. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just being honest about what I'm hearing. Don't do that to me, Travis. That's not what I'm doing.
I think what you just did was insulting to me. At the end of the day, you asked me on your show, number one. You asked me a question, number two. I gave you my honest answer, number three, and then you want to critique my answer as being too harsh. You're entitled to that, but don't invite me on, ask me a question, ask for an honest answer, and then try to jump bad with me, brother.
Now, what was that about? I mean, man, if you got an answer and people have criticism of your answer, if you didn't want to hear no criticism, you should have kept your answer to yourself. Huh? I mean, you may get away with giving answers and having no criticism in a room full of people who are of the same mindset as you, or that have lesser understanding than you. But if you come into a world arena if you're not ready to be criticized, you don't belong in that arena. Do you understand? I mean, swimming in the ocean ain't like swimming in the pool. You know, I mean, it's a whole different world. You know, you better know what you're doing. So, you know, and what he's now showing, I mean, he's a host. Travis has his own show, don't he? He knows how the thing go. Right? Right? You have a guest on there, people don't want the host sitting up there being a yes man. I mean, and the guest, if you know you a guest on somebody's show, when they talking, you got sense enough to let them talk. Huh? Because you are the guest. Right? But when you on there with another agenda, you thought you was coming on there just so you could bash. Well, let's show you what he think about CNN. That's the network you can bash President Obama on because it's controlled by people who got their own agenda. Huh? And he didn't understand why he had to explain himself or be criticized for talking about somebody that the owners may not like no way. Huh? Yeah. You go on Fox News, you can get that too. Yeah. Matter of fact, you see all these major networks carrying this stuff about Dr. Bill Cosby without any, I mean, that man ain't never been arrested or nothing, carrying some gossip from 30 years ago and putting it on primetime news. Now, I'm gonna let you hear this little thing from beginning to end without interrupting. It ain't but 7 minutes.
The protests intensify all across this country over police shootings of African-American men. He is the host, of course, of Tavis Smiley on PBS and the author of Death of a King, the real story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s final year. I watch you all the time, Tavis. I've been wanting to get your perspective on this. President Obama gave an interview to BET today. Here's what he had to say about the protests.
Then attention spans move on, right? There's the next thing. There's some international crisis. There's something that happens here. And change doesn't really occur. And the value of peaceful protests, activism, organizing, it reminds the society this is not yet done.
What's your reaction, Tavis? The protests we're seeing across the country to Eric Garner and Darren Wilson decision, what the president just said?
First of all, I appreciate and agree with much of what the president had to say. There were 2 or 3 things that sort of galled me today, quite frankly. Number one, when the president goes on to suggest in that conversation that change takes time, that we have to be patient. Dr. King once said that change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability. You have to be deliberate about these things. And so for the president to suggest to black folk this is going to take time, we have to be patient, that things are going to happen overnight, I get the point he was trying to make. And yet the truth is, if he had been patient in 2008, he wouldn't be the president tonight. So that message of being patient as opposed to doing exactly what folk are doing right now, I think rings hollow, number one. Number two, the president goes on BET to, once again, to some extent, lecture black folk, but goes on Colbert to sort, to do the jokey joke thing. And I quite frankly don't fancy that. In the Oval Office, the president has a bust of Dr. King. I'm glad it's there. But at the same time, Dr. King once wrote a book called Why We Can't Wait. And I would recommend to the president and all the rest of us that we read that book of what King was saying to us 50 years ago about why we can't wait. And there's in time, as you know, there are 2 dimensions to time. There's chronos, the passage of time, And then there is kairos, an appropriate, right, critical moment in time. This is a kairos moment for this president and for all of us, quite frankly, and we can't miss this, Don. We got to step into this.
Tavis, I want to ask you this because, you know, the children of Eric Garner were on tonight, and they were smiling and having. Are you saying the president can't be multidimensional because you mentioned Stephen Colbert and then you mentioned, you know, going on BET? He can't be multidimensional at dealing with the situation.
No, what I'm saying is I'd like to know when this BET interview was scheduled. Most folk were unaware of it. It sort of came out of nowhere. It wasn't mentioned in the listings. I don't know what the motivation was for doing that. What I'm suggesting is that the president, you know, can't have one message for us to be calm, to be patient, that things happen over time. And then, you know,
what would you have him do, Tavis? Because you tweeted, you said blatant disrespect for Black life on Obama's watch. What will it take for him to step into this moment? Hashtag Eric.
Now, remember, I know I said I wasn't going to cut, but remember, he asked the question, what would you have him do? Listen for the answer.
Eric Garner, what would you have the president do?
When the president was running for president, when Senator Obama was running for president, and race became a critical issue in whether or not he was actually going to get the nomination, much less get to the White House, he took the time to give the most important major public policy address of his entire campaign at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. And now what you're telling me is the best we can do is an interview here or there. I just don't buy it, Don.
He's also doing things. He's starting a commission. He's been meeting with leaders from all over the country. Okay, I take you at what you just said, but I think it's the president's between a rock and a hard place when it comes to this particular issue.
Let me be clear. This happened, that is to say, racism being the most intractable issue in this country was the case before he ever became president. I understand that there's value in the symbolism of his being president. I'm just saying, as I've said so many times, that great presidents aren't born, they're made. They have to be pushed into their greatness. And it may very well be, back to that kairos moment, that this is the reason, in part, why at this critical juncture, this man happens to be the president of the United States. I'm just saying, step into your moment and provide the kind of moral leadership, not a one-off here or there on BET or Colbert, but step into your moment and provide the kind of conversation, the kind of leadership, the kind of focus on a social justice agenda that would make sure, as Dr.
I want to, if Mr. Smiley happens to hear me on this, I want to remind you that, yes, some, greatness, sometimes men have to be pushed into it, but not by public opinion. Leaders are not moved into any direction because of public opinion, but because the time and the situation demands it. It has nothing to do with public opinion. Politicians do things based on public opinion. Leaders do things because the time demands that it be done and justice demands that it be done. Do you understand? And not only do leaders do things that justice demands, they recognize that they not only have to be mindful of what the demand is and what the effect of doing what the time demands will have on the overall condition of the people. And that's how you wind up tailoring what you do. Because, what is the point if you say you trying to, like they said, the Titanic went out with lifeboats, didn't have enough to take care of all the passengers in the first place. So if, they did not prepare properly in the first place, the captain's job would have been to make the best use of those lifeboats that he did have when the time demanded it. Is that right? Okay. Which wasn't really done. So you got some people who would say, well, let's tear it all up. You know, if I can't get justice, then to hell with everybody. Well, that's not the way righteous people think. You understand? Because everybody, that's an emotional statement. That's a statement of a suicidal mind. And life never surrenders to death. That's what the Ankh, the Egyptian sign, the Ankh, is about. It's the circle over a cross, life over death. A living dog is better than a dead lion. Because where there's life, there is hope. Do you understand? What is the point of having all them slogans about keep hope alive if you have a suicidal mentality? Suicide is the mentality of someone who has no hope. You understand? You know, a man who understands that life is a problem book. What is slavery? The kind of slavery that we suffered is a problem book that we had to solve. And we wasn't to get out until we solved it. We shall come out with great substance. Didn't say we shall commit suicide in great ignorance. It says we shall come out with great substance. Substance is understanding, wisdom. You spend too much time chasing a dollar and not enough time seeking wisdom. And now that you need wisdom to get something that all the money in the world can't buy, you're coming up short. Should have took the advice of the messengers of God to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. What does a man who's surrounded by chaos need to first have in order to know what to do in the midst of chaos? He needs to have a calm and peaceful mind. That way he's not distracted by all of the chaos that's going on around him, but he sees the way out of it and gradually, patiently maneuvers his way out of the chaos. You're so busy being mad, you can't hear. You can't see. Blind with rage. You ever tried to talk to somebody when it was a storm raging? You can't hear. You have to scream, and then you can't hardly make out what somebody's saying either. You got to be calm. So I'm not going to keep belaboring this. I could go on and on, but I'll let you finish.
He thinks that years ago that we are still dealing with what he called the triple threat of racism, poverty, and military.
It sounds to people listening. All right, you and I know each other. Let's be honest. It sounds that you're being extremely hard on the president because this
come
is
on,
not.
Don't start that nonsense.
No, it's not.
Don,
Listen, no. This is not.
Nonsense.
It's not
That's
an
nonsense.
easy. It's not nonsense. I'm just being honest with you. As I sit here, we spent maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and you haven't said hardly anything positive about what the president is doing. Maybe he didn't do it properly in the past. Maybe he is stepping into his moment. I hear you saying that, but it sounds like a whole lot of complaining about the president of the United States.
Don,
you don't sit in that seat. You don't know the pressures that he's dealing with.
Go ahead.
You can say whatever you want to me. That's why I asked you the question. Answer honestly. Go ahead.
And I will say it. I'll always be honest with you, my friend. Yeah. As always, that's an easy way for you to score some points. That was a layup. Hooray for Don. You got a couple points for playing to a particular audience.
That's insulting. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just being honest about what I'm hearing. Don't do that to me, Travis. That's not what I'm doing.
I think what you just did was insulting to me. At the end of the day, you asked me on your show, number one. You asked me a question, number two. I give you my honest answer, number three, and then you want to critique my answer as being too harsh. You're entitled to that, but don't invite me on, ask me a question, ask for an honest answer, and then try to jump bad with me, brother.
You can't tell me what questions to ask. I'm telling you what it sounds like. Anyone who's listening, you're doing a whole lot of complaining about the president, who's in a very tough position. That's all I'm saying to you.
Where is it written that Don Lemon speaks for all of America? You just said to anyone listening, that's your perspective, my friend. You don't speak for all of America. You're wrong.
I didn't say I speak for all of America, but it says that all of America can listen.
You said to anyone listening. You don't speak for all of
and neither.
He didn't say everyone. That did it. Now it's just a. You don't find out what your depth is until you meet someone who disagrees with you.
Do you?
I didn't say I did.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, on a separate topic, let's talk about this. Mark Whitaker under fire for not including the alleged Cosby rape story in his authorized biography. Does that disappoint you? And do you have anything that you want to say about this story? Because I know that you know Bill Cosby.
I know Bill Cosby. I know Camille Cosby. I am praying for Camille and for the entire family. And that's all I have to say about it. God bless and help Camille and the family deal with this. And this is a tough situation.
Now, didn't he just get through saying that we want the president to do more and speak up and do all this? And Don just gave him a chance to speak up for a man that he say he know and he's friends with, and he declines. What is that about? See, it's easy to say what somebody else ought to do when you're not in their position. But when it comes to you having to take a stand, when you can take a stand, and you start shuffling it off and saying, I ain't have much to say, then it makes your judgment of someone else suspect. Huh? Okay, he just got asked a point blank question about a friend, and he's sidestepped it.
You know Bill Cosby.
I know Bill Cosby. I know Camille Cosby. I am praying for Camille and for the entire family. And that's all I have to say about it. God bless and help Camille and the family deal with this. And this is a tough situation, and I wouldn't want to be in it. I feel sorry for those persons who have allegedly been victimized by Mr. Cosby, but this is a fight he's going to have to fight. And quite frankly,
brother, it sounds like you saying, I'm glad it ain't me that they after. Because it ain't them women that's after him. It's the people who sent them that's after him. Let's just tell the truth. You want the truth, don't you? All right, then. I mean, you saw in the letter that the model wrote about the men who came, and she was scared to come out because she said there's some powerful men. But she couldn't stand to see what they was trying to do to Dr. Cosby. Right? She had to say something, so she wrote a letter. So when Allah told me, he said, son of man, be not afraid of their words nor their looks. Matter of fact, when Allah tell you that if you attack or fall on his servant, that's what fall on me. He said, you be crushed. It ain't no wonder Isaiah said, sanctify the Lord of hosts himself and let him be your fear. He ain't got to fear you. You better fear him. Some of them found that out the hard way, and some of them have yet to find that out the hard way. So, if it wasn't so late on Wednesday, I think it's 10:39. I better let y'all. Is it 11 o'clock? 3 hours gone that quick, huh? Let me let y'all go, and I'll if it pleases Allah, I'll talk with you more Friday. But I hope now that brother that put that little message in there to me follow this. What he said, brother, follow the story. Well, I did. He the one need to follow the story, the truth that I've shared with him. You know, circumstantial evidence cases, the circumstantial evidence has to be overwhelming for you to convict somebody when there was no witnesses. You know, all these people claiming that man did them something and ain't nobody had no clinical or no kind of evidence other than coming up here 30 years later talking about that happened. That's not no overwhelming evidence. And it ain't no court of law. I hope you understand that this news media here is no court of law, and the courts have already ruled on this kind of stuff, that you got 7 years or so long to bring these kind of charges. Then what are they lawyered up for when the law say, according to what even his attorney said, that the prescription done ran on all of this stuff? Was he gonna change the law now? What? No. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go, and we'll continue some of this if it pleases Allah Friday. I want to hurry up and get back into the scriptures, though. If they leave it alone, I'll leave it alone. Okay? May Allah's Assalamu alaikum.
Your conference recording has stopped. Goodbye.